No one wants to talk about prenuptial agreements. Just not really a romantic topic. You're dating, you're in love, you're looking forward to a life together, and you're going to all of a sudden discuss prior to the marriage, well, what if it fails? What if we end up in divorce? We've got to talk about premarital assets, premarital debts. And sometimes it's necessary. There are occasions where a prenuptial agreement is a really wise thing to discuss and have implemented before you get married. Let's talk about the situations wherein you should consider a prenuptial agreement. Hi, I'm Jim Crayveld, founding and lead attorney at Crayveld Family Law. There are a few instances where a prenuptial agreement can be very beneficial. For example, if you have a family business, and there's a lot of money that's been accrued for over the years, sometimes decades, sometimes even longer, and you want to keep all of those assets in the family and not be subject to a potential divorce, you need to protect the family business. Inheritance. If you're expecting a large inheritance, and again, it's family from generation to generation, and you want to be able to protect that so that you don't commingle it during the marriage, and you want to have separate accounts, and you don't want to have the inheritance money being subject to any kind of division in a divorce, you ought to have a prenuptial agreement in place. Career changes. For example, you're working on a degree, but you get a degree, and all of a sudden you have a substantial increase in income. Who's going to be responsible for the school debt? But who's going to be benefiting from those changes? You may go into a different business that is purchasing investments or purchasing real estate. Are you going to have that set aside where, no, this was money that was funded from, again, family or an outside source, and you want to keep it separate? As I mentioned, school debts. If you're walking in with student loan debt, should that be the responsibility of the person walking in with that debt and keep it separate? Because otherwise, if the loans were used during the marriage, for example, or are going to be used during the marriage, if you're going through schooling, are you going to share those because you use the student loans for living expenses, for example? Should be dealt with. It takes all of the fight out of those issues. Lastly, second marriages. Sometimes folks want to keep that what they've accrued for their first set of kids, if you will, should stay there and be separate from whatever is accrued during the second marriage. And that often, again, allows people with families, when they do get remarried, to at least keep the first set of kids protected with that money. And it's usually often even with older couples that they like to at least set that aside. And it's something to be considered. I hope this was helpful. Until next time.